Let's hear it.
But the headspace that I was in 2018 was not a very good one. And so I was not planning for a potential future because I did not feel that I had.
Yeah.
In 2018, Christmas, I had planned to take my own life. And I made it to that Christmas date, and I decided to postpone it for the dumbest reasons. Christmas Day, I'm sitting there alone. I have my dog in my lap, and my roommate's out of town, and I realized my dog's going to be sitting there with my dead body for 3 days. And I'm like, you know what? I need to wait. And I rescheduled to July 24th, 2019, which was my birthday. And I thought in that process I would travel a lot so that my roommate and my dog, who had never really bonded, would begin to bond. So if you look at my travel plans, in January, I spent a couple of weekends away. And in February, it became 3-day weekends. And then in March, it became 4 days weekends. And by July rolled around, I spent 2 weeks in California saying goodbye to my friends with the plans of going home to end myself.
I'm very glad you didn't, by the way.
Well, I ended up doing some, which I do not recommend, right? We don't casually do. I did it under the, I did that with the guidance of a shaman. And my original trip was in 2019. And I realized that I had to stay on the path that I was on. I realized that this was what for better or for worse, no matter how hard this was going to be, I had to stay here and do it. Now here I am 4 years later doing it. And it's not been great. It's not been, and I went home and COVID happened. And
well, I have a question for you for the future of this conversation and what we're trying to do here. Are you willing to, and I think it might be for like the true first time from just conversations I've watched preparing for this, and then obviously this conversation so far, are we willing to just let go of the past? The past does not define us. We are human beings that are on this life, have a life temporary on this planet, that we are growing, and let's look for the future.
Well, we are talking about the past. Like we're talking about the financial decisions I was making in 2019.
No, I know, but when it comes to what
so like
we
obviously
uploaded.
But if you're asking if I have personally moved on, yeah.
Well, are we willing to in this conversation? Like, are we willing to
Sure, unless you ask me why I was making these financial decisions in 2019, I'm going to tell you, Kate. I'm going to tell you.
That's fair enough.
Right.
No, that's fair enough. Yeah. But when it comes to, I uploaded this many YouTube videos then and stuff like that, like, okay, let's like, what can we do in the future? Just make this awesome. Right. So that we can make sure you're financially secure.
But I had a nervous breakdown at the end of 2019. And I don't even think you could put this in your video, but I said something extremely inflammatory. I said that the people who had spent the last year harassing me, getting my sponsors to stop supporting me, attacking my fans, and attacking me personally, I said that they were worse than, which is not a thing you can say, right? It's also not true. It's hyperbole. I didn't mean it, but I said this on live stream. You can't take that back once the cat's out of the bag.
You in live streams.
Yeah, right. Which used to be extremely lucrative. I used to make $5,000 a month, $10,000 a month from live streaming when I was really good at it and really pushing it. I would live stream for 3 hours a night, 5 nights a week, 6 nights a week, and would bring home 5-10K sometimes.
I was talking to a very successful streamer a few weeks ago about you, and he thinks you can make like 20K a month
if I can keep my foot out of my mouth, and that's something I have so much trouble doing. Even there, I mean, like people, probably rightfully so, but for whatever reason, I think I'm held to a standard that I don't know that I'm good enough for. I'm going to say stupid
Well, you also
shit
react to everything. You feed them. You feed them. It's I haven't opened TikTok in like 2 months, so it's like,
a lot of the things that you want to talk about have really changed since March in this last year.
What happened in March?
Again, I went into some really intense therapy. I combined it with and the mentorship of a shaman. Okay, and those three things. If you look at the statistics, modern science is showing, and I can recommend a documentary for anybody who's interested, How to Change Your Mind. It's available on Netflix. Have the capacity to cure post-traumatic stress disorder, which was my biggest issue, right? It's one of the reasons I was stuck in these negative thought patterns. And so with a combination of doing intensive twice-a-week therapy with a traditional therapist, while combining that with seeing a shaman and taking the money puts your brain into a place of neuroplasticity. And so you can learn finally, right? And then you do that with the therapy and you can learn from the actual therapist. And this last year I've made such tremendous strides. It's right. So
whatever works for you, man.
Old Boogie a year ago, the egotistical, self-centered, extremely defensive man.
You think you're different?
Considerably.
Okay.
Yeah, considerably. Here's how I know I'm different. I wouldn't have been here. If you'd invited me to do this in December of last year, I would have laughed at you.
Why?
Because this is humiliating. This is difficult. This is hard. I have to swallow a tremendous amount of, sure, it's how humiliating is it to look at every mistake you've ever made printed out and be called out on your
want it to be
thousands of people to see.
Hundreds of thousands.
Hundreds of thousands, right?
Please.
You know?
I hope what I try to structure the most episodes is hopefully we end towards a positive note. That is,
I hope so.
That is where I want to go. Like the future.
Still,
and
but again, I knew walking down here that this was a hard pill to swallow.
It's very brave,
right? But I'm telling you, never would have even considered doing this.
Okay. So could you tell me what this is, please?
This is either the car loan or one of the dumbest purchases I've ever made.
Well, it's one of the dumbest purchases you've ever made.
This is the car loan.
Okay. We'll get to the dumb purchase soon.
Yeah, the dumb purchase was a dog.
Well, I have 2 dogs. They're great.
I spent way too much on a dog.
How much?
He's a purebred miniature poodle.
Sure.
Which generally would cost you about $3,000 to $3,500.
Okay.
I bought him in a pet store, so I paid $5,000.
How much money did you have at the time?
Oh, about $108,000 in the bank.
Oh, yeah. That's okay.
But again, I was in the mind that I needed to build credit, so I took out a loan.
What the is that the personal loan?
Yeah, that's the personal loan.
Dude, you're killing
that's me. That's the loan.
That's the synchrony. It's the synchrony.
Yeah, there you go.
So I'm gonna call this the dog loan.
That's the dog loan.
So what's remaining on the car? Do you remember?
The what?
Do you know what's remaining on the car loan?
The car? I don't know. We either on the last payment or like the last 2 or 3, I think.
Okay, we
have to look it up for
take
sure.
a look into it. And the personal loan has about 1,000, right? Left on it, something like that.
That sounds right. Yeah. There is another small loan.
What?
There's a third one that you're seeing here.
Credit card?
No, it's a bed.
It's a what?
I had to get an adjustable bed for my back and leg issues, and my doctor insisted that I looked into getting one. So I took out paid like $500, $600 down, and then took out like a $2,500 loan.
20.
Yeah.
When'd you get it?
July.
Interest rate?
6%. I think that's correct.
What's the monthly payment?
I think it's the 112 you're looking at.
Oh, so that was
that's the
Synchrony.
112.
Yeah, Synchrony is usually a store finance.
Yeah.
Okay. Credit card I want to take a look at in a second. Could you pull up your credit card app for me, please?
Yeah. I think you've seen it already, but to show you, I only own like $900 on it. And it's just a utility card for the business. So it gets used and it gets paid off. It gets used and gets paid off.
Do you ever hold balances?
Over the last couple of months, yes, because it's been thinner than I would have liked. But I plan to pay it off with this check on the 20th. So,
but it's only okay. It just scares me because it's only getting thinner, except for that spike.
Yeah. Well, that spike's going to pay off there's the credit card and the balance of like $950.
Yeah, credit line available, $31.12.
Yeah.
Kill me. Okay.